happens when homemaking is treated like an aesthetic before it's treated like a discipline? Let's ask Meghan Markle. Because what happened with As Ever wasn't just a packaging or a product problem, it was a credibility problem and ultimately a business problem. The brand originally appeared as American Riviera Orchard, and then it was reworked into As Ever. Netflix materials positioned the whole thing as part of a larger lifestyle universe: cooking, gardening, crafting, hosting, all wrapped into one founder-led point of view. In theory, that should have worked. A show builds the fantasy. The products make the fantasy tangible. The founder ties it all together. That's the ideal. But the execution, well, never really became one cohesive world. And to be fair, a lot of people did give this show a chance. In its first week, With Love, Meghan pulled 2.6 million views and 12.6 million hours watched. It hit number 10 globally, number 7 in the UK, and number 10 in the US. So this was not some invisible little flop that nobody sampled. People showed up. But by the end of the first half of 2025, the show had reached 5.3 million total views and ranked 383 in Netflix's engagement report. People were curious, they clicked, but curiosity is not the same as connection. Now let me be very clear here. There's nothing wrong with learning. The problem is branding that learning as expertise. Lifestyle brands are built on trust. They ask the audience to believe, I know this world, I live this world, let me guide you through it. And if the show itself doesn't back that up, then the whole brand just starts to weaken. Which brings me to jam. If jam is your jam,
the jam is my jam.
Why are you figuring out core parts of the process on camera? Is this working?
I think it's a slow process.
I've never made this before.
Again, this doesn't make someone bad, it just makes the branding premature. Because that's what people are really asking with a lifestyle brand. Not, can this person do this on camera? It's, can this person do this even when the cameras are not around? And with As Ever, that private credibility never fully came through. Homemaking is not just a visual mood board, it's a discipline. Hosting well is a discipline. Cooking well is a discipline. And when you treat discipline like an aesthetic, people notice. Now, I'm a pilot, so this is just a different way to think about it. But no one wants to get into an airplane with someone who did one flight lesson and now thinks that they're a pilot. You can be new or you can be the instructor, but you don't get to present yourself as both at the same time. And yes, homemaking is not aviation. I understand that the stakes are different. But the message is the same. Respect the craft, respect the discipline, and respect the people who've put in the hard work. If the show was supposed to build the world of the brand, where was the product storytelling? More specifically, where were the products? One of the strangest things about this entire rollout is that none of the As Ever products were ever meaningfully featured on the show itself. There was no clear hero shot, no signature use case, no moment where the audience was taught to connect a specific As Ever product to a specific ritual, recipe, or feeling. Netflix's own Tadum materials for With Love, Meghan leaned heavily into recipes, crafts, and hosting ideas you could recreate at home, while As Ever sat off to the side as a related product line rather than the natural extension of that world. Now, I don't want to speculate as to why an As Ever product never actually made it onto the show, but it does kind of make the brand feel like an afterthought. The show gave us mood. The store gave us the merchandise, but the show never really sold the merchandise. The show existed, the store existed, but they never felt fused. It felt adjacent rather than cohesive. And before anyone says, but she sold out, yes, she sold out. But sold out is not a sales number. It tells you something moved. It doesn't tell you how much of what product moved. A product can sell out because demand is huge. A product can also sell out because the company was conservative with inventory. That distinction matters because a real lifestyle brand is not just a launch. It has to bring people back. And that's the next problem. As Ever never had a hero product. Not just a product that's sold in an initial burst, but the thing that people post, the thing that people copy, the thing that people make recipes for, the thing that people talk about even when Meghan's name is not in the headlines. This never really happened. A real lifestyle launch does not just sell out once. It lingers, it creates recreations, copycats, tutorials, discourse. It gives the internet something to do. As Ever never really did that in a meaningful way. There was launch curiosity, press coverage, celebrity name attention, but no obvious breakout product that anchored the identity of the brand, and no broad second wave of user-led enthusiasm that pushed the brand past the initial headline cycle. A launch can buy attention, but only resonance earns repetition. And when there's no breakout product and no clear object of obsession, the copy has to work harder. Instead, it just kept circling back to Meghan. Once you notice that, the language starts to read differently. It's not really selling the product so much as selling Meghan's proximity to the product. Instead of building authority around taste, sourcing, ingredients, formulation, or craftsmanship, the language always circles back to her. The homepage literally frames As Ever as more than a brand. It's a love language, and says the products are inspired by Meghan's love of cooking, entertaining, and hostessing. Luxury copy still has to do the work. It can't just gesture at refinement and then expect all of us to fill in the blanks. If I'm paying a premium for tea, jam, candles, or pantry items, I need more than soft focus language. I need to know what makes this product special. What's different about the blend? What's different about the sourcing? What's different about the ingredients, the flavor profile, the finish? Because if the answer is mostly Meghan, it starts to feel less like a luxury product and more like merchandise. Take something as simple as peppermint tea. As Ever charges $14 and the copy is thin. A single line, seen here. Twinings, meanwhile, tells you much more clearly what you're buying. Pure peppermint blended from multiple continents for a distinct aroma and mint profile. And in that one product, you can already see the larger problem. This becomes even more obvious when you look at pricing. If you are charging 2, 3, and sometimes even 4 times the cost of familiar alternatives, the product itself has to carry that confidence. The copy has to carry that confidence. The brand has to carry that confidence. But if the item is vaguely described, lightly differentiated, and mostly framed through the founder's image, the pricing feels less luxurious and more presumptuous. And in this economy, people are selective. People will pay for something special. They'll pay for quality, but they're not going to pay a premium for proximity to a mood board. That's why this started to feel less like a serious lifestyle brand and more like a merch brand in elevated packaging. And what was missing underneath all of it was product obsession. Not polish, not presentation, not press. Obsession. The kind that makes a customer believe the item exists because the founder could not leave it alone until it was just right. That's usually what creates a hero product, not just a famous name, but a visible obsession, the testing, the formulation, the refining, the specificity, the sense that the founder cares more about the item than even the audience does. With As Ever, no one really ever felt that. And that's why labels matter, but only up to a point. Yes, I think the packaging needs work, but bad packaging alone does not kill a brand. Plenty of brands begin with awkward labels, imperfect visuals, or an identity that evolves over time. People can forgive a founder who's still learning. They can forgive a shaky launch or imperfect packaging. What they don't forgive is staged expertise packaged as authority. Princess Diana, Meghan's late mother-in-law, was killed by a drunk driver in Paris in 1997. On what would have been Princess Diana's 64th birthday, Meghan launched a rosé. This is not a business argument. It's simply a statement of fact. Setting that aside, the issue was always the same. This brand never gave people enough reason to believe in it. And I think ultimately that's why the momentum faded. Not because people didn't know who Meghan was, not because there was no initial curiosity, but because curiosity can open the door, but authenticity convinces people to stay. A lot of people gave season 1 a chance. Season 2 opened much weaker. It did not make Netflix's top 10 in the US, the UK, or globally in its premiere week. In Netflix's second half of 2025 data, Season 2 posted 2 million views and 9.7 million hours watched, ranking number 1,224 overall. The problem was not visibility. The problem was believability. And now the company that helped launch this lifestyle universe no longer seems interested in remaining tied to it. If the partner that helped build the fantasy no longer wants to stand beside it, that tells you how durable that world really was. The brand kept asking the audience to believe in something it had not yet fully built. People know the difference between something carefully made and something carefully staged. And homemaking, just like good business, feels effortless only after a great deal of hard work. And that's something, as ever, never managed to fake. Until next time, I'm Rachel.